and see if we're going to get more people. Right. Okay. So, right. So I started off by saying, when it was Kevin and myself on our own, I started off saying, is this a sign of how many people have actually managed to send any messages or got any results? And nobody wants to come on board and fess up.
Yeah. The further you get into a challenge, I think you'll find that's probably the same with all challenges. So various people drop by the wayside because they just either haven't had time or they've run out of ideas, you know.
Or run out of resolve.
Well, there is that. But,
yeah, you can't get on the supermarket shelves, can you? Which is actually just where I'll be, because that's why I wanted to be able to respond, because I didn't fancy going. I knew that I had to go to the supermarket today, and I thought, well, I better go there before I send these messages out. Because if we send them out while I'm at the supermarket, what am I going to do? I'm going to be cream crackered. And that's why I was so late.
Only if you're in the biscuit aisle, of course.
So, have you had any positive responses?
Well, unsurprisingly, no. other than one message has been acknowledged as being received.
Right. How about you? Anything positive come back?
No, as of yet. I haven't heard it back from anyone, but the ones. So I did your trick as well of looking what you were saying yesterday about looking at their activity to see how active these people are as well as the warm connections. So I noticed a few of them aren't that active on it, but have got back to me in the past on LinkedIn. So hopefully hear back from some of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Some of the messages will be slow burn because they're the people that you messaged are not particularly active.
Yeah, and I actually avoided sending messages to people that I'm sort of in more or less ongoing contact with.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not the objective of the thing. The objective of the challenge is to go back over your contacts, identify those that you started a conversation but it never went anywhere. To see if there's actually any mileage in resuscitating that conversation. That's really key,
I don't have any qualms about people who wanted to ask me about mortgages and whether I got one, and to send me a mobile number and email address and all that kind of stuff. But then again, I'm going to count those as X's anyway.
Yeah. I mean, this approach is usually an email-based thing that you do, the 3-line email, where it originally comes from. And there is a story of somebody that actually, I can't remember the exact value of the deal, but it's something on the basis of one 9-word 3-line email, made I think it was something like a £200 million sale.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah. That's not bad, is it?
Yeah. Basically, the guy sells super yachts.
Right.
So he messaged a bunch of people that had inquired about super yachts before, saying, "Are you still interested in this? Are you still interested in buying a super yacht?" And one come back and said, "Yes." £200 million deal.
Jeez.
And it only needs one. Yeah. So but it's typically done over email. But there is no reason why it can't work if you do it in the right way over LinkedIn. And in fact, with LinkedIn, you've got a better chance if you, as we've been through the process of warming people up with putting out a post and getting some good traction on that post so that your profile is fresh and whatnot. If people do get the message and they do think, who was that? Oh, let me have a look at their profile. Oh, that's it. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. It's got much more likelihood. The problem is whether or not you've got any people you've had a conversation with in the past about what you're trying to get them to do now. And I suspect that not many of the people taking part in the challenge have actually had that many of those conversations. So they've struggled to find the right contacts. Now, I would think Ian Lovelace would be a good candidate for having had some of those conversations and might be connected to people that might buy wills. That he should be a good one. I would have thought you ought to be able to unearth a few people that you've had initial conversations with about ACN's products, Kevin.
Yeah.
Tom, I can understand you might struggle to find people you've engaged with on LinkedIn about supporting the hospice and therefore finding it difficult. Does it surprise me that not so many people are here saying, oh, well, loads of sales? No, not really. But there were other positives to this whole exercise, which was partly getting you to download your connections. First of all, you've now got a backup of all your connections, so you know who you're connected to. Secondly, you've gone through those connections and started to realize how old some of those connections are and how whether or not they're really relevant to what you do at the moment. Because I know I go through mine, a good 50% of my connections are probably project management related and nothing to do with what I do now. I'm still in touch with some of those connections, and that's good, but they're not entrepreneurs that are in my target market space at the moment. There are a bunch of people in my network as well that are property related, which is no good for. Again, they could be using LinkedIn for their property businesses, so I could get some stuff there. But actually, it might be useful for a client that I'm talking to be able to connect him with some of my property contacts. So, how's it gone, Claudine? Have you got any responses to any of your messages?
So, is that me?
Yes.
Hello.
You're the only Claudine on the call.
No, yeah, but I couldn't catch.
Keith's
I
not
couldn't
dressed up
catch
today,
the
so I
name.
don't think
Sorry.
No, day
This
off.
is why I asked. Okay. I have a problem because I followed your instructions. So I downloaded the spreadsheet. I reorganized the layout, blah, blah, blah. Started to prioritize people. And then I'm terrible double checker, and luckily I am. So I took a picture of what I did, because when I tried to save, it was saying to me that some information would be lost. And then it appears that when I reopened it, it doesn't save the amendments. So I had to create a grid in Word, and I have to copy people's name. Well, mammoth task. So basically,
did you open it in? Did you open the CSV file in Excel or in Google Sheets? So what did you open it in?
When I downloaded it, it was as a spreadsheet. Sorry, I'm not understanding your question. So maybe I'm not replying.
Did you use it? Did you use Excel to open it? Did it open in Excel?
Well, I clicked on the document that was in spreadsheet Excel. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you should be when you do that, you should click Save As and save it as another file name, and also save it as a .xls file or
XLSX, yeah.
Yeah, XLSX file rather than a .csv, because .csv files are by their nature and by their naming comma separated variables. So each cell is considered to be a variable, and it's separated by a comma, and it's it's stored in a standard format. So if you make any changes to the formatting of the spreadsheet, it won't be saved as a .csv file. So when you went to save it, it says you will lose this, that, and the other. What it's saying is it's going to lose all the formatting because you're trying to save it as a comma separated variable file, which has no formatting. That's why you have to save it as a .xlsx file, and it will save the formatting for you.
Okay, so when I save it, can you repeat very slowly what I save it as?
So click File and Save As and choose a name, and then underneath it will give you a file type, and at the moment it will be CSV. If you click on the file types, you want to save as a .xlsx file.
Depending on what your system is, it might actually give you the option of Excel workbook or something like that.
Yeah, it might do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I used, and I'm fairly sure. Hang on.
Let me see.
It doesn't actually give the extension on mine, but Good stuff.
Kevin, you sound very
Yeah,
you're
your
blasting.
dialect's getting worse again, Kevin.
No. Is that any better? Because you're taking the thingy out.
No.
I'm in the dark a bit now. Hang on.
Oh, what was happening there?
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so basically from there, I still started to check people as I was entering them into the word grid.
Right.
And I contacted, I exchanged conversations with somebody that is not making an appointment at the moment. He's just asking repeatedly, what is the name of the company? Well, I've just given you the name, so move on. Then next one was someone who I have met recently during network and who is looking for work. So basically I've suggested a list of days to make an appointment. So I'm better.
But she has responded to the three-line message.
It didn't work like that because I connect with people who I network with. So then do not respond to what I have there for them. And right, I feel that there would be a discrepancy.
The challenge task was to send the connections you've identified, to send them a three-line message. Hi, Fred, are you still interested in earning a second income? Claudine. That's the message that should have been sent.
Yeah, no, but because I am so slow due to the problem with the fact it's not saved, I didn't cover 50 people. I had to pay to copy and paste, and I didn't come across anybody who approached me as somebody who was interested. In fact, I do not know if I can find anybody who is connected with me because they're interested in earning or saving. That's my problem.
Right. Okay. So you weren't able to really identify anyone in your connections that you'd started a conversation with, but it hadn't gone anywhere.
Well, the first one is not going anywhere. Second one, it is a matter of finding if it will be going anywhere. So if it might, I might make an appointment there, but I just need to carry on. So I'm going to have to try to save that for Excel, as you mentioned, to see if I can progress faster, because at the moment it's just going like a snail, because copy, paste and prioritize and go on to LinkedIn. I shouldn't be doing that. I should be going from the spreadsheet straight into LinkedIn, but it's not happening. So wanting to start the process that you suggested, I did it this way, which is very slow. But I don't know if I'm going to find anybody who is there.
Yeah.
Because they're interested in second income. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So the whole idea of the challenge was that you're following up with people that have expressed an interest in previous conversations, but haven't taken it any further.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you haven't got any connections where you've had a start of a conversation, but then it's fizzled out for whatever reason.
Well, yeah, because there is the fact as well that I did approach very, very few people. So I didn't really do the exercise that we're doing at the moment, because I'm doing it with another list, the list that I have from elsewhere, because we have our activities too. But I think that it is a very, very good way to approach people, really, the way that we're doing it. However, I never really conversed with many people.
Okay, so I mean, it's something for you to have in the back burner for when you've 6 months down the line, when you've got more connections that you've had initial conversations with but haven't gone any further. It's maybe where you've met somebody at a networking event, you've had a one-to-one, and said, "Oh, that might be of interest," but you never got any further. So this is what you use to try and rekindle that conversation. So it's something for you to use further down the line. Keith, how about you? Did you send any messages?
It's a cobbler's shoe situation with me, Alan, because I should be doing all of this as a matter of course. So it's great to have the prompt to do it. What I'm doing is I'm finding that I haven't really kept a list of people who've asked me about LinkedIn training, because pretty much everybody who asks me about LinkedIn training comes on or books into at least one of my training sessions, because why wouldn't they? Because they're free. So effectively, I've got quite a long list, and it's not a proper managed in an email client. It's not in MailChimp or anything. I've just got a Word document with the email addresses of everybody who's ever booked to come on one of my sessions, and they get a reminder email on a regular basis to say, do you want to come to my session? So that's kind of worked. But what I miss are the people who don't book on. And I haven't been keeping a record of people who've said, "Oh, I'll get along to one of your sessions soon." So I'm only discovering them when I'm actually going in and going, "Oh, just to go and see what engagement I had or conversation." There'll always be something there, because I always engage. If I connect with somebody, there's always a message from them or a message from me, timing and dating and locating. So there is at least that to go on. So I'm having to sort of pop in and go. So anybody the two questions I would ask the first bunch of people: you expressed an interest in LinkedIn. Are you still interested in LinkedIn training? And the others, if it's somebody, rather than just waste it, I send them a message saying, are you still interested in online networking? Because that's how I connected with them. I would have connected with them, particularly over the past 2 years during lockdown. I would have connected with pretty much everybody in a Zoom room.
Yeah. Well, everybody that's booked on your courses. You said you've got
I frozen with you. I think I froze there for a minute.
You did freeze briefly for a moment.
Yeah. So all my connections on LinkedIn, the most recent ones over the past 2 years, really have been met in a Zoom room.
In a Zoom room, yeah. Of those people, I mean, you've only been running your clinics for the last 15 months, 18 months.
Yeah. I mean,
So, everyone that you've met, and you tend to tell everyone you meet about your clinics, don't you?
Oh yeah, I bung it in the chat room, and it sort of rolls up that I'm a LinkedIn trainer, and usually it comes out. Yes, I don't, I'm not a very big one for.
So what you could do is, because you've got a list of everybody that's actually attended one of your clinics, because they've all had to book on. Yeah. What you do is you've got 2 lists in Excel. And you can use some little gizmo formulae in Excel to work out those that are on one list but not on the other. So you want the people on the list of your connections for the last 2 years that are not on your book to clinic list.
That's right.
And then those are the people you want to send a message to saying, "Are you still interested in coming along to one of my free LinkedIn clinics?"
Yeah, that's absolutely what I've got to do. And it's quite a labor intensive process, because I don't, but then, as you say, you only need 1 or 2 results from your
the actual process of working out who hasn't been to a clinic is actually quite straightforward if you do it Excel gizmo-y.
Yes, you just need an equation.
You're really bad again, Kevin. I don't know what's going on with your. You've got to get yourself a different set of speakers, mate.
Is that any better? Because it's just taken my earphones out.
No,
only marginal. Really.
I don't. Does it come across on the recordings? Do you listen to the recordings of yourself, Kevin, so you can see what you sound like?
I might do this afternoon. Yeah.
That's better. You haven't got it plugged in, or you haven't got it plugged in properly.
No, I've just plugged it in again, but maybe I didn't have it plugged in properly.
Maybe it wasn't plugged in properly, and therefore not cutting out the system mic. Yeah, that's much better.
No, right. Yeah. All you need to do, Keith, is
Yeah,
just
you
do
know,
a.
sound like Doctor Who instead of Dr. Dalek.
You just need to do a native equation on your Excel spreadsheets, Keith.
He does. Yeah, he does struggle getting up and down stairs. That's true. Yes, I know. I'm really not. I'm absolutely not a spreadsheet person, Kevin. I'm, spreadsheets.
If you want to, I mean, I work with spreadsheets all my working life. So if you want to book a 1-to-1, and I'll probably be able to get it, sorted out in about 10-15 minutes at most.
Ooh, get you. Get you.
There you go. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
I'm words and pictures. Numbers to
Please
me are
change,
foreign territory.
You're talking to a retired management accountant here.
Oh my God.
It's very brave of you to admit that.
Yeah. I will say though, one virtue of doing this exercise again was doing the post, because that's gone up to over 1,000 views now, and I've had a couple of people book onto a clinic session. I have one, and again, I don't know for sure that that's a result, but they're not people who are on any of my lists, so they've popped up from somewhere to book. And also I've had an invitation today to go and speak to a mastermind group. I can't do the date, but it was nice to get the invitation and to be paid for it as well, which is astonishing. I mean, gosh, if I could do that, I'd be posting. It wasn't a lot of money, but even so, to be paid to go and speak to a group, it's as you know, Adam, we always usually end up doing that because it's good publicity for us. It's very rare that we go and speak to a small group and get paid. Sometimes you'll get paid to do a large event, but again, not very often.
No.
In my experience, I mean, you may well be, but I mean, I don't get very often get paid.
I get paid from time to time, but not.
Yeah.
It's not commonplace.
No.
Not commonplace.
So that's been a good exercise in and of itself, been worth the effort, hasn't it?
Good.
It is a good exercise, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, we'll carry on regardless. Send a few more messages, see what you can get out there. We'll reconvene tomorrow at 4 and see if you've had any further luck, and then see what the next stage is, what the next step is.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll pop the recording in the post in an email a bit later on today for you and for everybody that hasn't managed to make it. Okay, see you all tomorrow. Keep posting. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.